Do I have a motion for R19-70?
I'd like a motion for R19-70 to set the advertised tax rate at 1.04.
I have a motion to set the advertised tax rate at 104. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a substitute motion that we set the tax rate at the current tax rate of 99 cents.
I have a substitute motion to set the current tax rate at the current rate of 99 cents. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mrs. Mauer. Is there any discussion? No discussion? This is. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ms. Mauer.
So there's one thing that one of the teachers said. First and foremost, we've got to separate two items. Just because the tax rate isn't $1.04 doesn't mean we don't support the 5%. That's number one. We can do 5% within 99 cents. Because if we did the hard thing, there was one teacher that said something. It said, to do the hard thing is to do $1.04. And I don't believe that's true. To do the hard thing is to really look at this budget and to prioritize teachers in this budget over, another teacher said, I got a smart board and I didn't even want it. And for years, we have been putting money across the street, and I'm finding that the prioritization hasn't been with the staff. It hasn't been with the teachers. It hasn't been with the educators. And unfortunately, we don't have the right to make sure that you guys get the salaries that you deserve. And so the hard thing is to dig in the budget and ensure that we're prioritizing teachers, that we're prioritizing this 5%. And for me, I can't agree that somebody who's making $150,000, $160,000, even $248,000 at Stafford County Public Schools deserves the same 5% as those that are sitting here before me. I didn't see a single person making six figures walk up and say, I deserve 5%. But that's what $1.04 means. And quite frankly, I can't support that. I do support the educators. I do support the teachers. I've got kids in this school. And there was one, Mr. Heller, sorry I missed you. My daughter loves you. And so we sent $6 million, $6.2 million. It was a 3-cent tax increase. It's one of the largest increases in the budget last year. And the year previous, we sent money across the street specifically for raises, and the school board didn't vote for raises. They prioritized something else. And the year before that, we didn't have to increase the budget because for 10 years, they were taking $8 million a year that was earmarked in the salary line item and spending it on other things that neither the Board of Supervisors or the school board knew about. I mean, so it's the hard thing. The hard thing is to ensure that we are prioritizing the teachers. And the hard thing is to make sure that we're balancing the needs of the taxpaying community and the needs of those that provide those services. And I am committed to doing the hard thing. I'm committed to digging through this budget, because if you go to page 12, and you look at the teachers and providing those teachers 5%, it's only $3.9 million. You're getting 10 from the state. So this isn't, the $1.04 does not mean that I don't support, or the 99 cent and the $1.04 doesn't mean that I don't support the 5%. It just means that I'm willing to do the hard thing and work with you to ensure that that 5% for the teachers and for the bus drivers and for the administrators and for those that are on the front line supporting my children are the ones that are being prioritized.
Any other comments? Mr. Cavalier.
Yeah, last year we did send a resolution to the school board that forced them basically to do the 2.5% raise. So I don't understand that comment, and that was the only way that they got the 2.5% raise last year. Now, I've supported the 5% position of the SEA from the get-go here, and I still support it, and I support it across the board. And I supported 5% for all the county employees, too. And you know what? I mean, there's been some variations out there. Well, we're going to give 3% only to the administrators. And then somebody said, well, we're going to give 6% to the teachers over a certain amount. You know what? I committed to 5% up front, and I stand by that. But we don't get to set the salaries. The school board does that. However, we just got out of a work session with them, and they said they needed $8 million, about 8.7 according to the school board budget, to get to this number. Now that's with the extra 1% for the ones over 13 years. But but it's around $5 million more than what the county administrator's budget currently shows. And we've seen it in the past. That's too much. We can't get there from here with the current amount of transfer that we have allocated in the county administrator's budget. If we don't add to that budget, we will lose ground with every other jurisdiction around us, putting us further behind than we are currently. And that, I see people in some states now are getting 10%. And, I don't want you all to go on strike. That's the last thing that I hope ever happens in this county, because that's not good for anybody. But you deserve more. I think that, I don't think that within the framework of that budget, because the school budget, 85% is for employees. So there's not a lot of play in the budget. I've heard the song and dance before, reallocation and this, that, and the other. And yeah, there would have to be some serious cuts in programs and in personnel, I think, to achieve that. And I don't know, and probably increase class sizes too, which I know none of you are looking forward to. So all those things in consideration, I think we have to look at the increased tax rate, at least advertising it this year, and look into it more. We just saw the school budget today. We shouldn't have to do this, and say that they can make it within, the numbers that we're putting forth right now. It's going to be tough any way you cut it here, but I think we have to give them a little bit more money this year than what is currently allocated. So I'm going to stick with the higher tax rate advertised for now.
Mr. Cohen.
Well, my mic doesn't want to work. So. I'll just use teacher voice. Okay, there, now it's working. First of all, this is just the advertised rate. So I think part of the discussion that's being raised is the second vote, which will happen later. As far as doing the hard thing, last year we went through the budgets and tried to do the weaning and the preening and all the stuff that you need to do to try to get the weeds out of it. So I don't think there's any desire on our part not to do the hard work or the hard thing. A couple things that are very important to me. Number one is that we are hemorrhaging employees in this county. We heard a whole bunch of the people in red tonight. One of them called attention to the gentleman in brown. Part of the reason why I insist on doing ride-alongs with our fire, our police, and our EMTs, why I go and do sort of visits to different departments, why I talk and listen to, which is, to me, a very important part of a communication is listening, to the other employees that we are losing to other communities or the private sector, and we are hemorrhaging them. And there is a cost to retraining and bringing people in and re-advertising. And anybody in the business world knows there's this cost, and that cost is being borne on people. So I don't have, a wonderful economics degree. Thank you. I have a poli-sci degree and an education degree, but there's got to be a logic here that we need to stop hemorrhaging our employees across this entire county. I also have a great concern about the debt. We have a large debt that we owe in this county, and maybe it's being that my family got here so long ago, and I'm technically a Yankee, but I don't like debt. And when we were dealing with school construction or when we were looking at road solutions, the fact that we have so much debt stares us in the face, and it is problematic. And so I think we need to wrap our heads around what we need to do to stop hemorrhaging our employees, who, by the way, end up going north, which adds traffic on our roads, which makes our roads horrible, and what we need to do to fix our debt, which would give us money to help other situations that would, help us with our infrastructure. So I'm for the $1 rate. It would give us time to go through the school budget. I announced, I think everybody heard me, I was not pleased that we didn't get it till today. And last year I went through it very, very in-depthly. I will do it again this year. I will listen to people who have gone through it to see where there can be sensible cuts. But if you go with the flat rate of 99 cents, it gives no flexibility at all and no intelligent predicting for the future so that we can get our hands around some important issues.
Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Shelton.
Hi. The reason I set it at the advertised rate for 104 is because I believe in wiggle room. Sorry about my voice. And the point of the wiggle room is that, yeah, it's a higher rate, but that doesn't mean we're going to give it to you. And why I'm telling you that is because I agree with our colleagues that up here that, number one, getting the budget at the last minute is very difficult for us. The other part is that it's very, very, very important for everyone to realize that and I think you've heard it, and I think you do understand that we have a lot of competing priorities. You talked about the sheriff's department, the fire department. We all have all these things. One of the most, I think, important things that we as a board came to face with this year was when we were looking at this great transportation project that we wanted to do to address our road issues, to get in front of our infrastructure issues, was to find out that we really couldn't afford to do it because basically our debt service, also known as our credit card debt is so high we have no flexibility. And so I want us as a board to have some wiggle room, to have some very open discussions about how we're going to pay down that debt service, also be able to fund the things that we need to do, and be able to give you guys the things that you deserve as well on salary. Now that's part of that to me, and I said this earlier with the board, the school board, is that it's very, very important that they recognize the priority that you have. The school board and everyone else has educated me on one thing for you, is that the most important person to that child, that student, is you. It is the people that are facing them. You're the one who makes the difference. And so if you're the one who makes the difference, you're the priority for the school system. It's not a mural. It's not smart boards. It's not those things. It's got to be you first. And so while I support the advertised rate, that doesn't mean I'm going to give it, because our intent is we want to be able to see that the school board is going to make you guys the priority that we believe it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Any other comments? Ms. Baumke.
So I'm sorry. Did you say? Oh, that was Wendy coughing. Okay.
It's not about what you say.
Okay. So I have a couple of comments. I was kind of taking notes as everybody was talking. And I want to say that I really appreciated everybody's comments. I appreciated listening and really enjoyed listening to your stories. My children are all out of Stafford County Public Schools, where they received a phenomenal education. Dr. Chase, who gave our budget presentation, I knew her when we were in a PTO together at Falmouth Elementary. So I've known her for 15 years. We've had numerous conversations, probably once a week, about the school board and some of the decisions they're making. But I think it's really important for you all to know, and a few colleagues have already said this, we're trying to set an advertised tax rate tonight. It's a very difficult decision, and we received a link from the school board on Friday on their budget. I was out of town for the weekend. Today, I received this budget book at 5 o'clock tonight when we had our budget work session. Is that fair to us? No. It's not acceptable. And I'm very frustrated with that. And we will work with our county administrator and the superintendent next year to make sure this doesn't happen again. We're trying to make a difficult decision on behalf of the community at large, all of you, our county employees, and then we're trying to figure out what our advertised tax rate is. And I haven't even had a chance to go through all this data and look at it and analyze it and ask questions. And I also want to say, whoever put out on Facebook that you believe that Supervisor Bomke is the fourth vote for setting a higher tax rate, I really find that not offensive, I just find it kind of rude. And I would appreciate that you not ever do that again with my name, okay? I'm a huge supporter of the school division. I've loved the schools for many years. I've lived here for 22 years. But that kind of thing, filling up my inbox, doesn't work for me. I also have to say that last year when I was chairman of the board, and with my colleagues, we did set a 3% tax rate increase. Sometimes I wonder where the money goes on the other side of the street. I find some of the statements that some people made, I haven't had a step in 10 or 12 years. I don't get that. It can't be. Where is the money going? And that's why last year, as Mr. Cavalier said, we sent a resolution over with targeted buckets of where we wanted the money to go. So I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to support $1.04. I will probably support $1.03. In glancing at the school board's budget, just glancing, because that's all we had time to do, I believe there are some areas in their budget where they could trim. Have any of you had conversations with the school board about what they cut in their budget? The county, we've cut things out of our budget. Have they scrubbed their budget? So, anyway, that's what I have to say. And again, most importantly, I really appreciate all of you coming here tonight and sharing your stories. Because I've been over to Head Start. I was on the school board for 4 years. I've worked in the classrooms as volunteers, been a member of the PTO for 12 years. So I've been in the schools, and it's different every year in teaching school. And then the last thing I wanted to say was just about the state of Pennsylvania. If you're not aware of this, and we don't have this in the state of Virginia because the Commonwealth, the General Assembly sets the gas tax rate. But the state of Pennsylvania has the highest gas tax in the nation. So therein lies the difference. So, and that's why they can compensate their teachers so much more. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Folks, we're not going to take any more comments from the audience. Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Cavalier.
Based upon what Ms. Bomke said, I'll make a second substitute motion for $1.03 because I believe the numbers that we're talking about in the work session, which provides the 5% raise to all school employees, plus, let's not forget the 5% to the county employees, that added another $1.6 million. So the 1.6 and the 5.5 million for the schools extra came up to a point to about a little over $7 million, and which adds a little over 4 cents to the tax rate. But I think with a little sharpening of the pens on both sides of the street, that $1.03 can get us there. And so I'll make that as a second substitute motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you only can have one substitute motion on the floor at a time, so you have to dispose of the first substitute before another substitute can be allowed.
Any other comments before we vote on the substitute? Okay, the substitute motion is, as I'm reading it, to set the advertised tax rate at 99 cents, the Lynn Haven Service District tax rate at 20 cents. Does anyone know anything different? Is that all right? Good?
Everything else is advertised.
Everything else is advertised automatically. With that said, cast your votes. Tally the vote. The motion fails 4-3. We're back to the original motion. Is that correct, County Attorney?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. And
The original motion
was for $1.04.
is to set it at $1.04. The Lynn Haven would remain at 20 and everything else is advertised. Any discussion on the $1.04? Seeing none, hearing none, cast your votes. I need to reset. Okay. The motion fails.
Mr.
4-3.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I'll
Cavalier.
make a motion for $1.03.
I have a motion for $1.03 on the advertised rate, real estate tax rate. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Ms. Shelton. Is there any discussion on the $1.03? Yes, Ms. Bomke.
I just want to say that this is the advertised tax rate, but we are going to go back and have conversations with the school division. The one thing that I did not say is that I want the raises to go to the teachers, to the bus drivers, to the paras, to the nurses that apparently need $250,000, I think, to bring them up. Yes. $700,000 for the 12 years, the teachers that are 12 years plus, and some of these other items that we talked about today. So it's not just the teachers, it's the paras, it's the bus drivers and the monitors, etc.
Yes, Mr. Cohen.
And let's us not forget the administrative assistants.
Any other comments? Mr. Cavalier.
All school employees.
Any other comments? Ms. Bomke.
So, and maybe some of us on the board have differing opinions, but I am supporting a $1.03 tax increase, but I am not sure, I'm just telling you where I am, I'm not sure I can support whatever the increase would be for administrators or people making over $100,000. So I'm willing to look at all of the issues. It's not going to be a blanket for me on how I end up voting. There may be 5% for some, 2.5% for others. So I cannot endorse a 5% across the board for everybody. But that's me, Meg Bomke.
Any other comments? Ms. Shelton.
I had said earlier, and I want to remind people of something. There was a comment that you guys made about why Prince William can have this if we're the richest, or not the richest, but whatever it is, that we make a certain amount of money. I don't think you're aware of this, is that we need to focus. This is what I need from you guys. I need you to focus on spending your money in Stafford. And so one of the things that we learned is leakage. When you go outside of Stafford and you spend your money, you're giving Spotsylvania, you're giving Prince William all the money they need to pay their teachers. We need that tax money here in Stafford so we don't have to continue to raise property taxes to be able to pay for roads and teachers. And so, yeah, I like what Ms. Bomke's saying. I agree with her. I want to see some control and some measures put in place. And I do support the idea of giving all the people, and I would say we could say less than $100,000, but whatever that is, let's give a living wage to the people that earn it. Thank you.
Any other comments? We are now voting to set the advertised tax rate. I want to make sure everybody understands what we're voting on. This is the advertised. We will not vote to set the tax rate until what date? April 16th. So if this passes, it's just the first step. We've still got to go back and set the tax rate. Advertised tax rate, real estate tax rate of $1.03, Lynn Haven at 20 cents. Any further discussion? Cast your votes. Tally the votes. The motion passes 4-2.
Sorry.
You all right? The motion passes 5-2. Oh, I'm sorry, 4-3.